easiest. There we go. I hope everybody can see this.
Yeah, looks good.
Wonderful. Well, then welcome everyone to our Michigan Business Luncheon together with the Fraunhofer Institute in the United States, specifically here in Michigan. First, I'd like to introduce my team a little bit. So Maria Crutch, which you already saw amongst the crowd, is our Vice President at GACC Midwest, and Franziska Hennig is our events coordinator who's in the background organizing the event. I myself am Jules Voss, the Membership Engagement Manager. I'd like to go through the rules or guidelines for the event itself. So just a minute, I would like to make you aware that you will be muted during the presentation itself. However, you can unmute yourself during the Q&A session. You can share your questions and comments through the chat function by sending it to everyone. And on the top right of your screen, you can also switch between speaker view and gallery view according to your preferences. And finally, if you're having technical difficulties, just ask GACC Midwest for help. Also, please fill out our survey at the end of the webinar. We really appreciate your feedback. So today's topic will be on adapting R&D to an ever-changing world by the Fraunhofer Institute. However, I'd first like to give the floor to Vlatko from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. Through their generous support, we can organize events such as this. And maybe Vlatko can say a little bit about himself and then do the introduction to our speakers today.
Great, thank you so much, Jules. Welcome, everybody. As Jules said, my name is Vlatko Tomic-Bobis. I'm with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. I've been with the state of Michigan for almost 10 years at this point in a role to support German investment and German companies in the state. And I think it goes without saying that Germany remains one of our key pillars within the state. And we look forward to partnering not only with the GACC, but also with all of the German enterprise and organizations within the state to really drive a robust economic comeback. So with that, I would like to again thank Jules and Mario and Franziska, of course, for this terrific opportunity to participate. And I will turn the floor over to our first presenter. So thank you for that.
Okay.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Can everyone see the screen now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. I didn't want to steal it from Jules. So thanks again, Vlatko. That was great. My name is Russ Zarras, and I'm the Marketing and Communications Manager for Fraunhofer USA. I've been with Fraunhofer for almost a decade now, and I am a Michigan born and bred and educated man. So I think that this is a great group for me to talk to. I'm happy to be talking about Fraunhofer and our connection to the German network, but then also with some of our Midwest colleagues here, because it's really, I think there's a lot of opportunity in the room. I'm joined today by Dr. Sebastian Wicklein. He's the R&D coordinator for Fraunhofer USA, and he acts as a bridge between our R&D activities here in the US and the institutes back in Germany and abroad. And I think some of you are probably familiar with that, but we'll start there because I think it's the perfect starting point for how to work with Fraunhofer and the opportunities there. So if you look at the Fraunhofer organization, I'm sure you've heard of us, but since 1949, we've been dedicated to doing direct applied research for the benefit of the world. And to do that, we work with companies to transform research and ideas into technologies and innovations. And we've grown dramatically since 1949. And now globally, there's almost 30,000 scientists and engineers working around the clock on every technology and area that you can imagine to really help businesses be better and do better for their customers and for their stakeholders. And so here in the US, we have the same mission that Fraunhofer has in Germany and abroad, and we try to continue that as we expand. And Fraunhofer itself has expanded dramatically from Germany. I'm sure you all know that within Germany, there's a Fraunhofer Institute in almost every town. We're not quite there yet for the whole planet, but we are working on it. So now I think we have at least some presence in almost 80 countries. And outside of Germany, the US is the largest Fraunhofer affiliate. And so we're constantly looking for new ways to innovate with companies and to work together for partnerships and really transform these technologies from the basic lab scale to market commercialization. If you look at where we're currently at right now in the US, we have a wide range of technologies. Our centers are broken up into 3 regions. So we have in the Northeast, the Center for Manufacturing Innovation, which specializes in energy technologies, automation, and the manufacturing of biomedical devices. We have our Center Midwest, which we can talk more today about if you guys want to hear about your local Fraunhofer center. And that center is primarily focusing on materials and surface sciences. So we heard earlier from Henrique that he's working with our laser applications division in Plymouth. There's many opportunities there for a company like Trump. And I think some of you I know are from the automotive industry. So there's a lot of overlap with our Midwest center there. And then down in the north, I guess the southeast, would you have the Center Mid-Atlantic, which is focusing primarily on software systems engineering, biotechnology, and overall what we talk about when you look at buzzwords like AI and big data, machine learning, there are expertise there. Just like Fraunhofer has in Germany, all of these institutes or centers are partnered with major research institutions. So for example, the Center Midwest here in Michigan is partnered with Michigan State University. So hopefully one day when we all return back to normal and going out in public, we can invite all of you out for a nice tour there and meet some of our researchers and see what we're doing there. So you can see that we have a breadth of technologies here in the US, and this is just a small sample of everything that Fraunhofer is working on globally. But the idea here is to take these technologies and really transfer them to companies, right, to better these companies and to allow them to do more and better business. And this cycle of trying to transition technologies and ultimately giving them to companies so that they can better society is the Fraunhofer mission. And I think Sebastian is going to jump in here and really explain how this works and to take a top-down view of the Fraunhofer cycle and strategy.
Thank you, Russ. Also, welcome everybody from my side. I'm glad we have the chance to tell you more about Fraunhofer USA today. As a taxpayer-funded organization and a non-for-profit, we first and foremost look at the societal impact that we have with the work that we do. And we specifically focus on the circular economy. It is very important to understand what impact your innovation that you're working on right now will have down the road for everybody. Understand how we can create a more resilient society with what we do. Specific fields are, for example, affordable healthcare, right? And of course, clean energy. How even not every project needs to have the label clean energy, but even if we think about projects in AI, how does AI, how do the servers, how does all that impact, for example, climate change with the energy our servers consume, as an example. So we think about our impact or what our work has on society in general. To do our work, our core competences that we use to then create innovation, you can see here with the help of the institutes also in Germany, we can almost pretty much cover everything. There are only a few things that we can't or won't do, but it reaches from microelectronics, production system, drug development, health materials, advanced materials, information communication. It's I think if you would approach us with a specific problem in a specific core competence area, we would find an expert of the 28,000 scientists that we have all together that can help. Now, our strategic research fields that we are currently really looking into are, of course, artificial intelligence. This is an omnipresent word. Meanwhile, everything is now almost controlled by artificial intelligence. And our goal is here not to be the next Google and drive this thing, but what we want to try to understand is, right, where can we pick up where, where innovation also falls short, right? Data security, for example, ethics. What if you put AI into a car, right, and that is programmed to swerve out of the way if there's a human. For example, it really depends on the culture you're in, what the car will do. How do you program the car to do? So these are topics that we think about and engage with customers with. Quantum technologies, digital healthcare are examples that we work on and prepare ourselves for what is to come. Hydrogen technologies for the next 10 years will be a very, very big topic. And we're right now preparing ourselves for what is to come and also try to prepare our customers. We have customers who ask us simply, well, as we hear more about this topic, can you help us to prepare? We do also market analysis for our customers and then understand where they would fit in and how they would have to innovate in order to be part of this change. And then, of course, the lead markets, artificial intelligence, you can pretty much, in this case, apply to any lead market here. So we're trying to come up with a way for the customer to understand, where do you fit in? What strategic research, what strategic innovation can we offer so you can perform well in your specific market as we can put you in a certain lead market category. Next slide, please. And I just mentioned before, our core competences are pretty vast. And what we do here in the United States, we basically act as a platform, as a connector for the engineers, as an impedance match to our colleagues in Germany. In Germany, we have 70 plus institutes. What you see here on the right-hand side are the so-called, what we in Germany call the Verbünde, where we categorize certain abilities and try to channel a request into these categories. And with Fraunhofer USA, what we're trying to do is now connect the industry here in the United States, as well as universities or even government projects, to our capabilities in Germany, right? As our abilities here in the US are limited. We do have abilities. I'm going to talk about this in the next slide, but I think our message for you here is to understand that we here in the United States can offer you everything that Fraunhofer Germany has to offer, right? And we found a way, basically, that you don't need to go to Germany in order to do that. We will work with you here in the United States, basically. Next slide. Here in the United States, we offer several competence areas. For example, in the area of health, drug development is one big topic. Right now, vaccine development is also a big topic. We work on functional development of functional materials. Our center in Michigan, for example, for coatings is very specialized in this. We have carbon-based coatings or We also look into diamonds for quantum computing, quantum technology, power electronics play a big role here. We then go further here into the microelectronics segment and offer solutions for sensor abilities, and also come up with ways to connect processes, for example, with artificial intelligence that we do with our systems and software capabilities that we have. Energy technologies play also a big role, and we can help out with that. Here are especially, we work together with large energy providers or the government to understand how the grid in itself requires innovation. How do you effectively put the work of solar panels or factor solar panels into the grid, for example, right? Or how, since we now look into hydrogen technologies, if we generate electricity over fuel cells, how could that concept work for the bigger grid? Laser technologies is a very big field that we help out a lot of customers, and Henrique can attest to that. And we have also a lot of abilities here in the United States regarding smart manufacturing. Everything is smart these days, but I think what is important here with smart manufacturing is that we have specialized solutions for our customers. If you have a robot and it needs to drive, several feet, but still needs to have a micrometer precision, this is where we can help you out with, for example. Next slide. And so, as we now talk about innovation, I think we can help you along any stage in your innovation process. Usually, the way we think about innovation is that we have a technology, and this technology has several dimensions, right? And these dimensions could be called speed, size of a certain technology, durability, customizability, security, you name it. There are endless dimensions. Every specific technology has a finite amount of these dimensions. So we think about to innovate along one of those dimensions, right? And expand the utility curve. Sometimes you think you're at the end, you think your drill bit is just that's it. There is no coding, nothing that could help extend the lifetime of your drill bit, for example. But maybe there is, and you simply extend the utility curve of your durability. Or you think about, what, let's open a whole completely dimension for this, right? Let's improve customizability of our product, and we can help you work along or develop these new dimensions as well. And we then usually place this innovation into different categories where we say, well, is it a process or product innovation, competence enhancing innovation, right? Where we find a way to say, do we need to innovate here in steps, or do we have a radical new idea how to do this? For example, MP3 back in the day was one of those radical innovations. Everybody was trying to innovate on the compact disc. Then Fraunhofer came along and said, MP3 format, forget the compact disc, right? No longer relevant, bam. That was radical innovation, and then further innovation happened along this format. And eventually Apple accepted this, and then the next thing was the iPod. Component and configurational innovation is also an aspect that we work along. Next slide, please. And so usually companies think of their technology as a technology readiness level. You start with an idea, right? We can help you with that as we work, and we are affiliated with universities. Every center in the United States here, as well as in Germany, is affiliated with a university. We have access to fundamental scientists, basically, that understand on a very fundamental basis a certain topic. That helps a lot when you come with a paper concept, with a paper idea, and you say, I think this could work, can you help me, right? And then we're talking TRL 1 and 2, where we help you to do fundamental R&D. We can help you to do basic R&D and say, well, I have it works on my breadboard, but I would like to now really show and build a prototype. Can you help us with that? Yes, proof of concept, design of experiment, especially for the process people. It's like, I have a process, it's got like 20 variables. What do I need to do? How can I improve the process? How can I innovate the process? I need to make it faster, better, right? TRL 5 and 6, advanced R&D, technology development. People want to bring certain aspects of a technology together, right? We can help with that and advance the process development. And in the end, we are approached also by companies who say, I have a product here, I invented this, I have the IP, everything's great. But in order to really bring it to the market, I need to do some verification and validation that you actually prove to me, yes, you are correct. And also understand, can you tell me where it needs further improvement? We have specialized equipment, right? Especially in German, vast opportunities to help the companies so they don't need to install a big a test lab for that, right? And then with the innovation deployment, we can help. For example, with the fuel cell development, Fraunhofer recently installed a big solid oxide fuel cell system on a container ship to simply prove for a company this concept could work, right? This is where we can help out with as well. And on the right, you see some of the companies that we work with that trust us with our expertise and engage with us in these endeavors. Next slide. And the way we engage with a company, for example, can also be that we really want to collaborate with you, right? This is not just here, you have a problem, fix it, and let me know when you are done. No, we like the engagement. What you basically also buy from our services is the cognitive diversity. It's like, well, I do have in my own lab a couple of experts, great, but because I'm trying to innovate, right, and as I'm venturing into new areas, either I have to hire new experts, or I could go to Fraunhofer where we have already these experts in place that can help you. And so these multiple experts then create diverse opinions, diverse views of how to solve a problem. And that makes the solution that we're finding very, very robust, because we can look at this from a lot of different angles. And you see here in the picture, for example, how we engaged with a customer where we organized a 2-day workshop, right? And brainstormed together, and we came up with ideas where we have the direct feedback of the customer. We're like, no, I really don't want this. How about this one I want to focus on? Okay. And you see, then we were able to help with developing a particular solution on the manufacturing floor, right? With a smart glove that is able to simulate how you pick and place certain components as a car is here put together. Okay. Next slide, and I think I play it back to Russ now.
Sure, thanks, Sebastian. What we're trying to show you here is that there's all these different pathways for innovation. And like Sebastian said, the idea that you can bring us a problem and say, hey, this is a research problem that needs solving, we can do that, that's our bread and butter. These ideas of things like these workshops is understanding, hey, if we have conversations around issues we're having in our entire process, we can find areas of overlap that we can help with. And we've applied that same methodology to innovation itself here in the United States. And what works in Germany, so like the contract research also works here, but we're looking at other programs and other ways for companies to engage with us here in the United States, because there are different things happening in this country that are of great interest to companies here. And one of those is the area around startups and the startup ecosystem here in the United States. And that's where we built this Fraunhofer TechBridge program. The idea here is that these large companies, like you see here, these are partners from previous TechBridge programs, that they want to look at innovation in a certain area, and they don't really know where to start, how to engage with these startups, how do you find and validate them. And this is a perfect area for Fraunhofer to assist with. So what we can do here is really de-risk the search and the validation of startup technologies for these large companies. But it also helps these startup companies as well, because it gets them a foot in the door with these companies with a proven third-party backer. We're saying, hey, we'll take a look at your technology, we'll help you develop it a little bit, and we'll get you in the room with a Shell or a Toyota, and then from there, whatever relationship comes about from that is really up to them. And this is a very unique program here in the United States, and it's built around the success we've seen with the Silicon Valley model and startups in general. And this is an opportunity for companies here in the United States to find brand new innovative technologies that are already out there that they probably wouldn't come across on their own. And some of these organizations have innovation departments that are doing this full time, but it's still quite the undertaking to find and evaluate hundreds of startups at a time. And we've seen great success in this. And a good example is the program that we're running right now, which is funded by the state of New York. It's called the Carbon to Value Initiative. And we're really looking to create an ecosystem around technologies that convert carbon capture, storage, and utilization into products and services. So basically, how are we removing carbon from current processes and turning it into dollars? And we're just moving through the first step of that process. We received over 130 startup companies that have applied, and we are narrowing that down to a top 10 that will then be introduced to a carbon leadership council of 10 corporate companies that are looking at investing or working with these companies on developing their technologies. And so this is a good way to build innovation around an entire community, whether in this case it's focused on the state of New York, but it's economic development on a larger scale. And everyone involved, all the stakeholders benefit in some way, whether it's the startups, the corporates, or in this case, the region. And this is a great example of future ways that Fraunhofer wants to drive that mission of bettering society and being of economic benefit to our communities. And that brings up one final program we want to highlight today, and that's this new Alliance program, which Fraunhofer is building here in the United States. And this is a partnership between state governments and the Fraunhofer organization. The first successful running of this is in South Carolina right now as we speak. And this is set up with state funding to allow local companies access to the Fraunhofer projects with local academic institutions. So what you're seeing here is matching funding from the state to partner with Fraunhofer and these companies to really drive technological innovation to bring business and advantages to their local customers, their local manufacturers, their local suppliers. And we've seen this already in the few years that this program has been running in South Carolina. We've seen projects in aircraft, in bicycle manufacturing, in a lot of shipping and logistics. So a lot of things on cybersecurity and AI. We've seen telemedicine, basic assembly. We've seen all kinds of projects that these companies are benefiting from with the matching state funding. It's driving creation of new technologies in these companies, and it's also creating jobs and further opportunities for businesses within the state. We're hoping to expand this program now to other states, Michigan being one of our next steps here. And so we're looking for companies which would have interest in participating in these types of programs, and for companies which would potentially want to help us organize how this would be operated in the United States, or in the state as well. So I would encourage anyone who has interest in this to please reach out to us, because this is a program which we feel aligns very well with Fraunhofer's model and with our goal for societal impact and economic development. And with that, I think that's all the programs we wanted to highlight. Sebastian, did you have a comment about anything else that we're doing here in the US programming wise?
Yeah, I wanted to point out here that in South Carolina, we do work also together with the local universities there. That is part of this program. That so basically, the Department of Commerce there funds or adds funds to a project, innovation project that an SMU is suggesting. So the SMU doesn't need to carry the entire cost of such an innovation project. At the same time now, as we engage with the university, we have engineers, young engineers working on that. And so they're being brought into this equation as well. So you have an educational aspect here as well. It's to make your local economy more resilient. One thing, we work in South Carolina very close together with the CEO of BMW, right? And he told us, he asked us, he's like, look, quality is one of our major concerns. But therefore, we need to drive our suppliers to very high quality standards. Can you help with that? And so we work together with a lot of these suppliers, right? And as an example, one of these suppliers we worked together with, they had a pick and place a problem where a worker had to pick up parts and place it on a rack for then coding. And this was manual labor that had a very high turnover because of the job that nobody really wants to do. So quality was then an issue. We came up with a solution to do that pick and place by a robot arm that also is equipped with artificial intelligence, so it can pick up different parts. It understands, oh, it's a different shape. I can't grab it this way. I need to grab it a different way. At the same time, those workers were not replaced by this robot. Those workers are now transferred from laborers to actually tech workers, because their job is now to work with this robot, meaning they need to understand how they have to code. They have to now understand how they maintain the system. And the manager of this company said, this is great. Now I have knowledge workers. So I don't have laborers anymore. I have knowledge workers. And those are people are interested staying, with me, working with me. And we can actually now go to the next level, right? This is one testimonial I wanted to share with you. This is what this program is really about. It's just more than just creating innovation. It's improving, making the whole economic ecosystem more resilient through innovation. That's what I wanted to make here.
Thanks, Sebastian. And so that ends the slides that we had prepared today, but I know we had some time scheduled for Q&A. So if anyone has questions about some of these projects that we have here in the US or about opportunities abroad, we'd be happy to take them and talk about it.
Thank you, Russ and Sebastian. I'd like to officially open up the floor for Q&As. You can also write it in the chat function. I can then pick it up and ask it to our speakers. But please feel free to ask your open questions now. Or maybe I can just go ahead and do the icebreaker here. So I had a question regarding incentives. Are there any incentives on a state level or federal level which a member who might potentially be interested for doing an R&D project with you get? If so, do you have more details about this? How would they approach this, or could they approach this?
Sure. So, I mean, that's kind of one of the ideas behind this whole alliance program that we're building here in the United States, is the opportunity for, in this case, 50% is dollar for dollar matching. And so we're still expanding this network and finding more opportunities with hopefully state governments, and the idea is eventually the federal government as well. The opportunity for companies here is, you know, to basically just lower the bar for cost of entry for beginning these types of projects. And I think that if there is great interest in that, and we see interest in that from industry, it seems, at least from our experience in South Carolina and our conversations with a few other states right now, that there is absolutely interest from the states in helping to fund these types of activities, because like Sebastian said, it drives your economic ecosystem in your state. So there's some opportunities for that now, and hopefully more in the future.
Thank you. That answered my question. Any further questions from the audience, maybe? Oh, I see a question in the chat. So could you speak more about the Carbon to Value initiative, which was on your slide?
Sure. So the Carbon to Value initiative is the current TechBridge program that we're running right now. It's in partnership with the Urban Future Lab at NYU in the state of New York, and Greentown Labs out of Boston. They're the largest clean tech accelerator in the United States. And this program is built around really expanding the ecosystem for carbon tech companies, specifically in the United States. It's a 3-year program. The year 1 was funded by the state of New York, with years 2 and 3 being funded by corporate partners. We built a 10-company carbon tech leadership council, right? And these companies are spanning a huge variety of expertise. We have agricultural companies. We have companies doing chemical and fuel manufacturing. We have companies doing energy distribution, mining. I mean, all these types of areas which you expect from, you know, to have interest in reducing carbon or capturing carbon. But then we also have some companies doing consumer goods as well. And so we're trying to find right now what the landscape is as far as startups in this space, and figure out how they align with these corporate partners. Moving forward, we will, in year 2 and 3, focus a bit more on technologies, you know, let's pick an example, perhaps like biochar, because that could apply to agriculture, for example. It really depends on the interest of these corporate partners for year 2 and 3. But this program is ongoing right now, and I'd be happy to send any of you information about what's happening and the next steps. We do have a public event on May 6th to kick off the announcement of which startups have been chosen for the program. You can find that information at carbontovalueinitiative.com. And yeah, it's a great program that we would love to do a similar thing in other areas or in other regions in the United States. What was very interesting about that program too is that the amount of innovation that we got from the startup applicants came from, I believe, 19 countries. And so this is really a hot topic. And we of course knew this, but it was good to see that there's innovation happening, not just here in the United States in this area, but globally. A shocking number from Canada as well. I think outside of the United States, a large number of startups applied for this program from Canada. So we're happy to see innovation happening abroad here.
Yeah, and we do engage with customers also in North America. I would say Canada is also picking up. We're getting more requests from Canada. So if you have the branches sitting in Canada, right, this would not be a problem to begin with. Right?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, it plays to the point you made earlier, Sebastian, with just allowing, as Fraunhofer expands, we're trying to connect all the Fraunhofer dots for everyone. So if you're a customer here in the United States, you're a German business, and you have let's say a favorite institute in Germany. I like to work with this Fraunhofer Institute. You can still do that here in the United States. You can do it through us, and we can help facilitate those projects. We can also then involve other institutes which have similar expertise, and whether they're in Germany or in the UK or anywhere really that Fraunhofer is active. And this allows companies a much bigger breadth of expertise than a lot of them are familiar with. Usually when you talk to customers that are working with an institute, they say, oh yeah, I work with this one Fraunhofer Institute, and they're not even aware that of the other opportunities that are available to them within our organization. And even sometimes on that same topic, because there are many institutes with overlapping technologies, which are very complementary. And so here in the US, we can act as a kind of a focusing effort for that. So if you have operations here that are looking to do research in really any field, Fraunhofer USA is the bridge connecting the Fraunhofer network back to Europe and to Germany.
And then I have another question. As a client, is it required that my technology already has a certain scale or size, or the project, does it need a certain size before you can actually start working with Fraunhofer? I saw that you can already start in different phases working with the institute, but do you require like a minimum threshold the project needs to reach?
No, not at all. And Sebastian can comment on this a little more, but I think it's important for people to realize that this all starts with a conversation with us. We're happy to talk to people about where their technology is and where do you want it to be? Where do you see this technology going? Or do you need help figuring that out? And so this is it really starts with that conversation with us. There is no entry-level bare minimum threshold. We've worked with companies from ideation to deployment. We have companies that come to us and say, hey, look, I have a technology which is established, but I need to work on scale up, on manufacturability, or even like Sebastian brought up earlier on IVMD. We have a technology that's ready to go, and we would really like if a partner like Fraunhofer could give us a stamp of approval to help us with that. So there's really no bare minimum. That being said, we are an applied research company, and so when we dip into projects which are very much basic ideation research, we would connect with our university researchers for some of that really beginning level research.
Great. Final chance, I would say, for people to ask their questions. So please go ahead if you have a question now. Otherwise, as Russ already shows on the slides, the contact information of Russ and Sebastian can be found on the slides. We will provide those throughout our mailing after the event. So you can always contact them through the email if you have any further questions or are interested in partnering up with the Fraunhofer Institute. So I'm thinking no more further questions. Then I would like to thank the MEDC for their contribution and for being an official co-sponsor of the event. Thank you very much, Vlatko, for making this happen. I'd also like to thank the Fraunhofer Institute for their input and their presentation at that time. I think that's a great opportunity for our member companies who tuned in to partner up with them here locally in Michigan. You don't have to go all the way to Germany in order to do your R&D. You can do that locally here in the United States, in the Midwest, which has a great network to support you. And then finally, I would like to thank everyone for tuning in and for taking the time to listen to the presentation. So thank you very much from the German American Chamber of the Midwest and for your time. And I wish you a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great afternoon.
Good seeing everyone.
Likewise.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.